Well, we're all set up for sandblasting. Absolute wonderful day. So I'm just going to use the bottom of my bottom shelf kind of as a shelf. So when I sandblast this, I got somewhere to put it. And we're just going to hit it fairly heavy. The more you sandblast, the more it raises the grain. So you got to kind of decide, you know, how old you really want that piece of wood to look. And it's all determined too on the kind of wood you have. This is fairly soft, so it's gonna blast out all that soft material fairly quick. And same with the metal. We're just going to, because you got all this slag on here, we're just going to sandblast that off because it's going to rust a lot faster. Let's get started. It'll be shower day today. Now for the cool stuff. Okay, so I've got these sandblasted, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray muriatic acid on it. And then I'm just going to let them sit outside and let nature take over. Now if I just sprayed it on here, everything is going to be rusted. So there won't be any variations or anything like that. To combat that, or just to give it a different look, I'm just going to spray a little paint on there on spots that maybe I don't want to have rusted. Now this works really good. Like, let's say you've got a John Deere theme going on and you could paint a little bit of John Deere green on, rust it, and then it would look kind of like a rusted piece of John Deere. But I'm just going to use black for now on this one. Not really going to do anything special, bright blue or bright green or anything like that. The muriatic acid, you could buy that at the hardware store. Now this one turned green when I put it in the bottle. I'm not too sure what happened. It's usually clear. Hope it still works. So I'm just going to put a little bit of black, mostly on the tops, and just every once in a while. Not a whole bunch. You don't want it thick. Okay, we'll let that dry. Now, if there's a little blotchy spot here and there, it will not rust. You know, a little bit of paint here and there, but it's still gonna look good. I've tried it on a piece before, and just to see if it would work. And it does. You can mist it so it doesn't get all rusted. You just play until you figure out what you really like. It's really nice outside, so it dries up really fast. So basically, all there is now is just spray it down with the muriatic acid. Woo. Wear some gloves. Yeah, this spray bottle doesn't work as good now that the acid's in there, that's for sure. Get her all wet. Don't miss a spot. Done. Woo! You can sure smell it. Okay. Now we just let nature do its course. Do its thing. And the moisture in the air, you know, with the dew in the morning, it's just going to rust this stuff away. Now we still have to deal with our carriage bolts. I'm going to have to sand them off. They got some stampings on there, so I'm going to grind that off. Put it in a board, give it a little shot of this, and rust them as well. Okay, I gotta go. It's really starting to smell. Just using a flapper disc. Take off the galvanize on these bolts. Alright, a little shot of muriatic acid on the heads of the bolts. Oh, smelling. We will let nature take its course now. Alright, looks a little different than I thought, but it's rusting out pretty good. This is just a couple days of sitting outside. Well, we're finally doing the cool stuff, staining. The work is done. I got everything all sandblasted. I got my metal rusting. So now it's time to put a finish on our wood. So what we're going to do here, I'm trying a new one here. I'm not too sure how it's going to work out. Never tried it before. But this is a Varathane, and it's called Sun Bleached. Oh yeah. It'll take me a while to mix this one up. Okay. Back in 5. Well, that took some time. Definitely a lot of build up. Has been sitting there on the shelf for a long time. Alright, we're going to start with the bottom. Now this is just by looking at it, it looks like a pretty light gray. So sun bleached is basically, you know, barnwood. So we're gonna, you always want to start, you know, you might want to have this in browns. Do whatever you want, whatever's going to match up with what you have for decor. But always start with the lightest that you have. And this is a pretty light gray. And all I'm going to do basically is just use a sponge, layer on, wipe her off. Yeah, it's going to be okay. We'll probably have to build it up a little bit and get some little darker areas in there, but we'll do that tomorrow. Let this one dry up. It's going to soak her up pretty good, because when you use a sandblaster, that opens up the pores a lot. Now we're onto the finishing up the top here of the bottom shelf. I'm kind of glad I left, chamfered the edges here. It really does help it make it look old. Really, really like that. Just getting started on the bottom of the top here. Now, sometimes when you do the sandblasting, you get a little bit of lifting on some of your edges here, so I just took a little bit of sandpaper and cut them off. And you just blow it off, and then you are ready to go. Well, the only thing more exciting than watching me do this is probably watching it dry, so I'm just going to keep on going. And if it gets exciting, I'll stop and slow down. One thing with this product here of everything, it's really covering well. Everything's dry, looking good. Now, the next step, I've done a couple of testing here. You can see that everything is so nice and just gray, but I want to have a little bit of variance here in color. So I've got another stain here that's maybe a little bit darker and gray. Well, it is a little darker and gray. Now we can mix different stains together as long as it's an oil base. So if I wanted this darker, I could put an ebony in it, or if you have a black stain or something like that, you could darken things up. This particular project, I want kind of a light gray. I don't really want to go too far. We can take and put some, some really dark stripes in here, this and that. No, I want to kind of keep it light. But I want a little variance, so you can see this one here has got a little bit more, darker tones to it here and there. That way it just doesn't look flat and boring. So, it's just simple. Make sure your stain is all mixed up. Hey, if you wanted to, you look at, this is the top here. Looks pretty darn good just with a single stage, but I think we can do better. That's an old rag there, but that'll do. Basically all we're going to do, we're not going to use a brush or anything like that. Just a little tiny bit on the end of a rag here. And you pick a spot, say around this knot here. And you just work it around. Now you don't want to just leave it like that. You want to make sure that you feather it all out so that it doesn't look like it's just a mistake. Maybe just down along the edge. Basically, you're just kind of glazing it, adding a little bit of color. Just along the edge maybe a little bit. There. I took it from just a straight, flat look to something that's got a little bit of variation in it. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Now let's say you made a mistake and you don't really like the darkness. This is an oil-based stain. You could put a little bit of thinner, this is just paint thinner, on a rag and you can wipe it off. Let's say I wanted to expose that knot a little bit more. I could just take a little bit of thinner on my rag and wipe off any of the stain on there. It'll come off and that'll expose that little knot on there. It actually doesn't look too bad. Kind of like that. So we're just going to continue. It doesn't look too bad at all. Kind of gives it a bit of a different look so it's not all gray. Try this guy. You just got to keep trying things. You never know what's going to work. Yeah, I kind of like that. Alright, I'm going to continue having fun here. Now you're going to get a lot of little fluffies from your paper towel. All we're going to do is blow them off. I like it. It's got some great variation now, and the knots, I got them cleaned up a little bit. They look really, really good. Very happy with this. One more that I want to do here. Just livens it right up a bit. There we go. Things are looking cool now. Check out some of that rust on that. I think it's pretty neat. But what I did do is I picked this stuff up, put it in my truck last night, and I could feel the little burn still on my hands from the acid. So what I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to try and neutralize it with some baking soda. and then rinse it off the water. We're going to let it dry, and then we're going to clear coat it with just a spray balm of a satin clear. But first of all, I want to give you a little bit of a tour, see what it looks like. I don't know what's going to happen with the baking soda. I'm going to wipe it with a rag, so some of it might come off, but other than that, it really rusted. So we'll take a quick look. You can see a lot of variation there, but where I put the little bit of paint, you kind of see it didn't rust, or it rust differently. So I got a lot of variation. It might look good, I don't know, I'm hoping so. These are the bolts. Now, they were galvanized, so they're going to look a little bit different, but that's okay. I kind of want them to look different. Got a little bit of rust. You can see a spot where I missed a little bit of the galvanized. It's turned black. I think those look really cool. Here's baking soda and water. What the heck? Can't believe it wouldn't have wrecked this thing already. I guess it's plugged up because it's so thick. Well, let's just pour it on there. So the little sprayer thing didn't work out very well. It's too thick to suck up with the sprayer. I'm just clearing this with a water-based satin. So that's the brand, and it's a Varathane diamond wood finish, but it works well on metal as well. I'll give it a couple coats. Nice thing about this is that you won't get any rust on you if you bump up against it. And this doesn't really change too much when it dries, you know, with the color. Our stain is all nice and dry, so now we got to protect it. So I'm using a rub-on poly. It's just a Mim Wax satin coat rub-on poly, because this is what I've got. You saw me with the metal. I could just, you know, use a spray balm like that too. That worked fine, but this is what I have. So this is what I'm going to use. It'd be nice to be able to spray it, but I'm cramped in here for room, and I don't want to get stuff everywhere. And it's called a rub-on, but I still use I just use a brush. Put it on, and then we're just going to wipe it off. Take a piece of paper towel, just keep her nice and even. Now we're working with, this polyurethane is an oil base, and it'll give it a little warmer feel than what a water base will. The water base is very, very clear, no color in it at all. Time to put her together. This is a 4. last piece of the puzzle. I think that looks awesome. I'm really happy the way it turned out here. Now I'm not going to screw the top down until I get into place, because this is a pretty heavy table and I got to pack it by myself. But yeah, I'll take the bottom out and I'll take the top out, haul it into the house, and then finish the final assembly there and put her into place. I'm really happy the way it turned out. Well, I sure hope you found that this was a cool project. And hopefully you get something out of it. There you have it. My wooden steel table. This is right on. I'm really happy the way it turned out. I thought maybe the rust might be a little overwhelming, but I'm pretty happy with it. Well, I hope you take something from this. And that's awesome. If you do, and you can work it into one of your projects, that'd make me happy. Alright, well if you're liking this, I got more ideas on the way. Subscribe so you can keep up with what I'm doing. Now I gotta get it into my house.